Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Friday, November 6th. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. America and the world are still watching and waiting. Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden has pulled ahead as his numbers in key battleground states are increasing, but it's still too close to call. And President Donald Trump is making it clear that he will contest the election. KPBS reporter Matt Hoffman joins us from the newsroom to break down the latest. Matt?
Maya, we are still waiting for a call in this race. A lot of people anxious to see how this is going to go. I want to show you the map and show you what's changed over the last 24 hours. Joe Biden still sitting at 264 electoral votes to the president's 214. They need 270, but a lot has changed. Pennsylvania and Georgia over the last 24 hours have been trending toward the former vice president. North Carolina, which we're still seeing trending toward President Trump, but Arizona and Nevada still trending blue for Biden. And actually, Trump has been attacking this election process without evidence, actually just moments ago complaining about his early leads, now going to Biden saying that the former vice president should not declare victory. Now all of this is happening as vote counting is still continuing. In Georgia, state election officials say they're hoping to have all outstanding votes counted by today or tomorrow at the latest.
We'll get it right, and we'll defend the integrity of our elections.
If Biden holds Georgia, he has the presidency, but with a margin in the thousands of votes separating him and Trump, the state appears heading for a recount.
As we are closing in on a final count, we can begin to look toward our next steps. With a margin that small, there will be a recount in Georgia.
In Pennsylvania, Philadelphia city officials say the counting is continuing. Mayor Jim Kenney says accusations from the president that there's been voter fraud are baseless.
I think what the president needs to do is, frankly, put his big boy pants on. He needs to acknowledge the fact that he lost, and he needs to congratulate the winner, just as Jimmy Carter did, just as George H.W. Bush did, and frankly, just as Al Gore did, and stop this and let us move forward as a country.
But the president does not appear ready to concede anything, this morning asking in a tweet, quote, "Where are the missing military ballots in Georgia?" Election officials say those ballots are not missing. They're due today and will be processed. Meantime, in Clark County, Nevada, elections officials are still counting.
We should hopefully be ready to have a final count on the majority of mail ballots by Sunday at some time.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says she's confident that Biden has a clear path to the White House.
Pretty soon the hyphen will be gone from Vice President to President-elect Joe Biden.
Senate Majority Leader and Trump Republican ally Mitch McConnell says every legal vote must be counted and disputes over illegal votes must be resolved by the courts. McConnell would not say anything further when pressed by reporters.
I told you I have sent out what I want to say today about this situation in the tweet that you all have.
Other Republicans like Mitt Romney have said the president was wrong to say the election was rigged, and doing so damages the cause of freedom here and around the world. Something to keep in mind, a recount in states like Georgia cannot be requested until that election is certified, so we could take some time going through those processes. Now, with all of Georgia's votes expected to be in today, we could know very soon who the next president of the United States will be. Maya, will send it back to you.
Matt, are any local Republicans weighing in on the president's claims of voter fraud?
Yeah, from our congressional delegation, or I should say soon-to-be congressional delegation out there in the East County, we saw Republican Darrell Issa, who appears to be heading to Congress out there in the East County, the 50th District, saying that he's standing with President Trump on the issue of being able to, quote, adequately supervise the counting of ballots. Now, we saw some other of the Democratic members of our delegation saying that all the votes should be counted and urging patience.
Thanks for that report, Matt. Voter turnout nationwide was historic, and here at home, county numbers are expected to break records. And as KPBS reporter Max Rivlin-Nadler tells us, that includes communities that have been trying to increase their voter turnout for years.
Voter turnout in this week's general election reached 68.1% on Friday afternoon, but ballots will still be counted for days to come. Based on the numbers of ballots left to be counted, the county's registrar estimates that projected voter turnout will be between 80% and 85%. This would surpass the 66% turnout in 2018's gubernatorial race and possibly surpass 2016's presidential election turnout. Communities like City Heights have been targeting this election as a chance to boost their voter turnout and wield more political power. In 2014, the neighborhood had one of the lowest turnouts in the county. Griselda Ramirez, the director of civic engagement at Mid-City Community Action Network, said turnout efforts have been successful, even with the pandemic.
It looks good. I think that people in City Heights turned out.
Right now, voting precincts in the neighborhood are at around 50% turnout.
I'm hopeful that we could get to 68, 70%. That would be ideal.
She says in the future, the key to higher turnout will be better access for this diverse majority immigrant community.
Just the access, right? I think that making sure that there's the information, there's in-language information. Communities like City Heights, the City Heights community, it's not only English and Spanish. We're talking about 80 languages and dialects spoken here. So how do we reach in language to the entire population of City Heights?
The vote count must be certified by December 3rd, 30 days after this week's election. Max Rivlin-Adler, KPBS News.
Now for an update on the coronavirus pandemic here in San Diego County. We just got new numbers from the county. 480 new cases and 3 additional deaths were reported. A reminder, this week the state adjusted our case rate to 7.4 per 100,000, landing us in the most restrictive purple tier. On Tuesday, we'll find out if we will be officially downgraded, forcing places of worship, restaurants, and many other businesses to close or move outdoors. As the Vista School District tries to hang on to their in-person learning model, Halloween parties over the weekend have stalled the plan once again. KPBS North County reporter Tanya Thorne gives us the details.
An outbreak of COVID-19 cases in several different Vista Unified schools have sent hundreds of students and staff into a mandatory quarantine. Mission Vista High School and Vista High School returned to virtual learning last week. Students were expected to return to in-person learning next week, but that date has now been postponed. In a statement from the Vista Unified School District, officials said they learned of 2 large house parties over Halloween weekend, where several hundred students from Vista High School and Mission Vista High School attended. Students in attendance were reportedly not practicing social distancing or wearing facial coverings.
Our kids are learning from us. We're putting them in classrooms 1 or 2 feet away from each other. What did we expect when we teach them that this is safe enough?
Concerned over the further spread of COVID-19, district officials have decided to postpone in-person learning for both high schools until November 16th. As of today, 21 COVID cases have been reported throughout Vista Unified Schools. Tanya Thorne, KPBS News.
And new election numbers are coming out tonight from the San Diego County Registrar of Voters. KPBS reporter Eric Anderson is in the newsroom checking in on a few key local races. Eric?
Thank you, Maya. The new numbers have just come out from the Registrar of Voters office. You know, on election night, they were at about 58% of the vote total counted. Yesterday, they got up to 63%. Today, they're at 73%. One of the races we've been tracking has been the 50th Congressional District. Darrell Issa now sort of stretching his lead over Amar Campanajjar. He's up to an 18,000 vote margin in that race. Another race, the closest race that we've been tracking in San Diego County, is the race for County Supervisor District Number 2. Steve Voss and Joel Anderson, 2 Republicans who are battling to take the seat that was held by Diane Jacob, who left the seat because of term limits. Their race is getting closer every time new votes are counted now, separated by just 710 votes. So that could still go either way. And the final race that we're tracking for you is in the city of San Diego, where Todd Gloria and Barbara Bree, 2 Democrats, are competing to become the next mayor of San Diego. Todd Gloria has expanded his lead. He's up to now 14% of a lead, 14-point lead over Barbara Bree, and he is stretching that lead as more votes get counted. Now, there are still going to be 205,000 votes that have not yet been tabulated. We're going to get another data dump tomorrow. That'll happen around 5 p.m. Likely another 100,000 votes of that 200,000 backlog to be counted.
Our eye on that. For more election results, visit our website, kpbs.org. You can find the latest updates on local, state, and national races as soon as they come in.
I'm Judy Woodruff. On the next News Hour, the latest on the final vote counts and what they mean for the future. That's Monday on the PBS News Hour.
Cold, rainy weather is expected in San Diego this weekend, so local agencies are providing free sandbags to help residents fight off flood risks. KPBS reporter Jacob Ayer says the sandbags will be available at many fire stations and recreation centers throughout the county.
The county has over 30 fire stations working to deliver bags and sand to residents for the upcoming storm system this weekend. The National Weather Service is forecasting rain and wind around the region, and if not properly prepared for it, this type of weather can lead to property damage.
If homeowners live in an area where, during a rainstorm, they because of topography in the vicinity of their homes, that water typically comes down and could possibly intrude into their home, they can use the sandbags to prevent a barrier to sort of divert the water around their home.
The city of San Diego is also helping residents prepare for the storm system, as sandbags will be available in limited supply at 9 recreation centers located in each city council district. While the city is only providing bags for residents, the county has multiple locations that offer sand as well, like this fire station in Bonita.
This is a big help for the residents in the area. It's a little work, but big deal. I'd rather come out here and make a few sandbags and have my house flooded out.
Other preparations include placing no parking signs in low-lying and other flood-prone areas, sweeping critical locations that typically experience heavy debris buildup, and installing bypass pumps where infrastructure may be overwhelmed by storm waters.
We have crews that clean out drainage facilities that are there in place both for flood control purposes, but also to protect the roads. So they'll go out and clean out drainage channels and culverts to make sure, and they do that at the start of the rainy season, so that when those facilities are needed, they're going to perform at their best.
For non-emergency flooding or downed trees, the city says residents can use the Get It Done app or call 619-527-7500 to report the events. Whipple says the county is also offering fiber rolls at the Alpine Road Station for those affected by the Valley Fire. Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
Happy Friday, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to KPBS News. I'm AccuWeather's Marvin Gomez, and we have a lot to talk about for this weekend. An early winter storm will bring a couple inches of snow in some of the higher terrain across the counties to the north of us. Gusty winds here at home, and of course, wet weather for us tonight and pretty much for the rest of the weekend as well. A winter weather advisory again in effect across some of the higher terrain in the counties to the north of us until Sunday evening, and parts of San Diego County and the counties north of us as well. There is a wind advisory in effect until Sunday evening as well. Some of those wind gusts could be up to 50 or even 60 miles per hour. Some of the strongest winds associated with this area of low pressure that's going to move across the region will be felt over towards parts of the Four Corners. Now let's talk about tonight. Borrego Springs cooling down to 50 degrees. Ramona at 47. Chula Vista starts to get some of those showers with a low near 60 degrees. Saturday and Sunday, notice where that area of low pressure is. Will continue to shoot up north, pretty much dives across the southwest and then heads back up north into Canada. The cold front associated with that will continue to spread across the southwest as well. And for sure, Southern California, San Diego County, even looking at the potential for an isolated thunderstorm and some small hail as well. Numbers for you on a Sunday, only coming up to 58 degrees across Escondido. Towards Oceanside, 62 for the afternoon, and we're definitely going to need the umbrellas there. Now let's talk about the coast forecast. Rain and the chance for thunderstorms on a Saturday. Temperatures only climbing up to 62, 63 as we head into your Sunday, and of course drier weather into next week. So again, a very busy weekend for us here in Southern California, inland areas with cool temperatures as well, and in the need of the umbrella both Saturday and Sunday. And again, some of the mountains will get a couple inches of snow. 40 degrees the high on Saturday and 38 the high on Sunday. Freezing nights out there. The deserts, we are staying windy for both Saturday and of course the Sunday. There's even the chance for getting a quick shower as well. Back to you.
There's some hope that Some of that rain expected across Southern California helps crews battling a 100-acre fire in San Dimas. At last check, the fire is 25% contained and no homes are threatened. 3 firefighters have been hurt. 10 aircraft were assigned to battle the blaze, helping ground crews. The U.S. Drought Monitor says more than 84% of the state is experiencing moderate to extreme drought. The California Coastal Commission has updated its strategic plan for the next 5 years. The outline adds more focus to sea level rise and environmental justice while maintaining a focus on public access to the beach. Jennifer Savage works with the Surfrider Foundation, and she says the Coastal Panel will pay extra attention to local coastal plans because they are politically challenging and a source of tension.
If you have a lot of wealthy coastal property owners who are right there in vulnerable areas that are vulnerable to sea level rise. And you start having these conflicts because what they want to do usually is put up seawalls.
Seawalls can protect a property in the short term, but they can also create more erosion over time. San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulconer wants one last major policy win before he leaves office next month. Complete Communities is a set of reforms to the city's development rules around housing and transportation. It's set for a city council vote on Monday. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen says the goal is to build more housing in walkable urban neighborhoods.
We must change from a city that shouts "not in my backyard" to one that proclaims "yes in my backyard." From a city of NIMBYs to a city of YIMBYs.
January 15th, 2019. With 2 years left in office, Mayor Faulconer decided to make housing affordability the main focus of his 5th State of the City address. His ideas were big. Outside the coastal zone, no more height limits in areas served by public transit.
And I will deliver a plan to the council to authorize unlimited density for developments that include affordable housing and housing for the homeless, the most generous incentive in the state.
His Complete Communities proposal does not quite match that lofty rhetoric. The program is optional and only applies to sites close to public transit where apartments are already allowed. To participate, developers have to make 40% of a building's units affordable to low and moderate income households. None of the homes can be used for short-term rentals like Airbnb. In return, the developer can pack as many apartments into the building as will fit. And the size of the building will be regulated by square footage of floor space rather than height. In other words, the taller the building, the skinnier it has to be.
Andrew, this is the Buzz project. It's a mixed-use project on the corner of 30th and B in Golden Hill.
Rami Cortez is a small-scale developer who supports the Complete Communities package. He's showing me his latest apartment building set to open to tenants in January.
We have cabinets going in, countertops. And in the next 30 days, you'll see all the scaffolding pull down.
This project made use of the city's existing Affordable Housing Density Bonus program, which offers incentives if developers can set aside a portion of their homes as affordable for low-income households. Complete Communities is like that program dialed up to 11. Cortez says it would be another tool to help provide more housing for San Diego.
If we're building housing in the right places along transit and job centers, we have to grow as a city, and we can't just take a NIMBY approach to leapfrog development like you see in Arizona or Riverside. That never works. And to meet our greenhouse gas goals, it's the only way we're going to be able to get there is to cut down on carbon emissions and walk, bike, and use, alternative modes of transportation.
Transportation is another leg of Complete Communities. Building in the city's more car-dependent neighborhoods would come with higher fees, and those fees would pay for things like bike lanes, sidewalks, and crosswalks in denser, more urban neighborhoods. Improvements in low-income communities with less access to opportunity would get priority.
This is completely unacceptable with the housing element. Don't like it at all.
Perhaps the biggest opposition to complete communities has come out of San Diego's volunteer neighborhood planning groups. Diane Kane represents La Jolla on the Community Planners Committee, or CPC. At a meeting on Monday, she suggested complete communities is a Trojan horse for a massive rezoning plan.
If you look at the maps, there's all of these disclaimers about how this isn't a rezone, but it is a rezone. And the people whose parcels are being rezoned don't even know it.
CPC Chair Wally Wolfeck of Scripps Ranch said he thought it was unfair that a portion of the fees developers pay to build in his neighborhood would be sent to low-income communities. And he said the process that began about a year ago was rushed.
None of these plans should go forward until there has been sufficient consultation with community planning groups and CPC. And that still hasn't really happened. It's sort of been like pulling teeth to get anyone to bother to talk to us.
Just wanted to take a couple of minutes just to kind of walk you through a few of the highlights of the changes.
Earlier in that same meeting, Planning Department staffers spent an hour explaining recent revisions to the program and answering questions. They point to the dozens of workshops and presentations at public meetings as evidence they did enough outreach. The Complete Communities package has gotten mixed reviews from city council members. They'll decide on Monday whether it should become law. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
The latest jobs numbers are out, and jobs were added for the 6th month in a row. The U.S. economy added 638,000 jobs last month. That's according to the monthly jobs report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Unemployment dropped to 6.9%. However, the economy is still down 10 million jobs since the start of the coronavirus pandemic. Here in San Diego, more people could soon be out of work if the county slips into the state's most restrictive tier. SDSU's Miro Kopik has more in the Friday Business Report.
We may go slip back into the purple tier, which means big restrictions on business as we enter the holiday window. A lot of businesses that are allowed to have indoor traffic right now are going to have to go back outdoors. So restaurants, gyms, places of worship, all are going to have to go back outdoors as temperatures drop as we enter the fall and into the winter. Additionally, one of the big challenges here is that retailers that are deemed non-essential go from 50% capacity indoors to 25%, which means that a lot of small businesses may go under. There's been 2 reports, one by the National Restaurant Association, that have said over 100,000 restaurants have gone under since the beginning of the pandemic. So this is going to be a very difficult period. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of fatigue around the pandemic, but it's going to make it very difficult for the county as they have to enforce things substantially over the next few weeks, especially as we enter into the holidays.
Larry Watson's novel, Let Him Go, makes it into cinemas this week with Kevin Costner and Diane Lane in the lead roles. KPBS film critic Beth Accomando says the film subverts some genre expectations.
On the surface, Let Him Go has the trappings of a modern Western revenge tale in terms of its setting and characters.
You're going with me or without me?
I saw exactly what I've always felt about Donnie Weeboy. And I saw that girl can't protect her child.
Margaret, Jimmy is her boy.
He's your grandson.
But what makes it more interesting is that instead of focusing on male characters, it focuses on women, specifically mothers, and the different ways that love drives them. The film's absolute best scenes involve the confrontations between Diane Lane's Margaret and Leslie Manville's Blanche.
My boy doesn't have to answer to you. And we don't have to answer to you. Whoa.
Lane and Manville give the film its formidable backbone and chief interest. Sadly, the rest of the film isn't quite as compelling or as fully realized. But it's rare to see women dominate a Western, and this one's worth checking out, even though it's sometimes pedestrian in its execution. Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
An update now on the presidential race. A reminder, a candidate needs to reach 270 to win. The Associated Press is projecting that Joe Biden has 264 electoral votes, and that is compared to President Trump's 214 electoral votes. Now, the battleground states that are still too close to call include Pennsylvania, Nevada, Georgia, and North Carolina. However, Biden has pulled into the lead in 3 of those 4 states. As for local race updates, let's check in with KPBS reporter Eric Anderson. Eric?
Well, democracy requires patience this year, as we're finding out even here in San Diego County. The Registrar of Voters releasing more votes today, more vote results. About 73% of all the votes cast in San Diego County have now been tabulated. That leaves about 200,000 votes to go. One of the races we've been tracking has been in the Supervisors District. Steve Voss and Joel Anderson, the closest race, separated by just about 700 votes. That race could still end up going either way. It has gotten tighter as more votes have been counted. Nora Vargas and Ben Hueso, 2 Democrats trying to get Greg Cox's old seat in the Southern District, and Nora Vargas has a big lead there. And then the other race is Tara Lawson-Remer and Kristen Gaspar. Tara Lawson-Remer looks like she's on her way to becoming a member of the Board of Supervisors, giving Democrats 3 seats on that panel for the longest time in decades. Maya, back to you.
Thanks, Eric. And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.